Welcome back to the Cossy Ask the channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. The Gyokerez story is over. And next in line is Gyokerez. Arsenal are working on a deal to sign Gyokerez. As the talks ongoing between Arsenal and the players' representatives, and the big questions are Arsenal really going to afford Gyokerez after signing Gyokerez, Madueke, and Mosquera? And of course, can we get him ready for preseason? Can we sign him so that he can play some games in preseason? We're going to be answering all those questions. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. How important to you is the Gyokerez signing? Obviously, he's not a left winger. We've got Martinelli there. He's not a right winger. We've got Madueke and Saka now. And it's not a number 10. We've got Odegaard. But how important is Gyokerez if we signed him this summer? Where do you see him play? Do you see him maybe displace Odegaard? Do you see him displace one of the left wingers? And do you see him displace Declan Rice? That's a little bit difficult to see, but it is also very possible. Arsenal are saying they need an attacking midfielder, one that is versatile, can play across the shop in very many different positions, and Gyokerez fits the profile. So Arsenal are working on a deal to sign Gyokerez after signing in number 9. Now, for me, the first thing I want to say about Gyokerez as a signing is a signing that complements our number 9. It's a signing that complements the number 9 signing. If you sign a number 9, you've got to sign creative players around that player. You don't want to have the problem that Manchester United are having at the moment. They've got a very I would say serviceable number 9. Because with Rasmus Højlund, you can't call him very good. You can't call him a very talented player, because we have not seen that in the Premier League yet. But he's very, very serviceable. But the problem with Manchester United, and the problem they have at the moment, and why Amorim is trying to sign Matthias Cunha, and he's trying to sign Bryan Mbeumo, and he's trying to sign all these other very creative players around, he's trying to see if he can get the best out of Rasmus Højlund maybe next season. So you don't want to have that problem that Manchester United are having. You have a very good number 9, but you do not have service around that player. And I want to see how Manchester City are going to work around that without Kevin De Bruyne, because we have seen it every single time that Erling Haaland drops in performance and quality whenever Kevin De Bruyne is not on the pitch. And that is simple, because Kevin De Bruyne services Erling Haaland. If you don't have service as a number 9, you're as good as that, especially these number 9s that are kind of traditional. Now, of course, with Gyokerez, one thing I like about him, he's got the ability to create chances for himself as a player. That's a very, very good thing about him. He's going to make those runs on the counter-attacks. He's going to pick up the ball from the middle of the pack and run towards goal. So he can create some chances for himself. But if you come to the Premier League, if you come to a club like Arsenal, you expect chances. You expect chances to be created for you. You expect assists from many players. And I think his role as Gyokerez is going to be staying in the penalty area and waiting for chances from Saka, Odegaard, Eze, Rice, and all these other players around him. So signing a creative player, even if it's not a typical number 10, complements your number 9. It complements the striker signing that we have actually just made. It means that we are willing to put a platform for Victor Gyokerez to thrive. And many people have been asking the same question: how are Arsenal really going to do it? How are Arsenal really going to make sure that you have a number 9 and he thrives? For me, it's easy. You've got to put creative players behind that player. Now, obviously, it could happen the way it happened with Darwin Núñez. Liverpool created Darwin Núñez a lot of chances. They made him a lot of chances, but he couldn't bury them. Now, that is not on the team. That is not on the manager. That is on the player. If you can't take what is given to you, if you can't bury your chances, that is on you. But last season, one of Arsenal's biggest problems was penetration. In fact, one of the problems Arsenal had was penetrating backlines that were sitting in very structured and very organized shapes. Say Fulham, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and a couple of other teams. Remember, we had lost our ability to keep a clean sheet. Yes, we didn't concede many goals. We didn't concede, I doubt we conceded 3 goals in a single game. And that was down to Raya and our defense and everything. But we had lost our ability to win games by 1-0, to win games by 2-0. Which meant that every single time Arsenal stepped onto the pitch, we had almost guaranteed goals coming in. Like there was a guarantee that we could we could concede, and that was that was quite funny because it's a season where we had a Golden Glove winner in David Raya, but you look at the goals that the other games, the 13 games that we didn't concede, it was a lot of work from David Raya. So Arsenal conceded some dangerous chances, but he also conceded a lot of goals. That is why we are bringing in Gyokerez to counter the number of goals that we conceded, because it wasn't about how bad Arsenal's defense was, it was how bad our attack was, right? Our attack was so bad that the goals we conceded hurt our season. And I can tell you, Arsenal had the best defensive record in the Premier League last campaign. So Eze now brings something different to the table, something that Arsenal have been craving for, the ability to penetrate defenses. I told you this when we signed Martin Zubimendi, that Martin Zubimendi, surface level, is a DM, defensive midfielder, is going to replace Partey and Jorginho. But when you think about the next level, then it starts to make sense. Zubimendi is a penetrative defensive midfielder. If you bring Eze as a penetrative attacking midfielder, and then you couple that with the security of Odegaard and the security of of Declan Rice, this team becomes balanced, right? Because last season, it was all about Arsenal having possession and swinging it around. Partey, Odegaard, Rice. Partey, Odegaard, Rice. These are three very safe players. They will take risks at times, but they rather not. But if you add Zubimendi to that mix, and then you add Eze. Eze is a risk taker, and so is Martin Zubimendi. They play their game looking forward, facing forward. And their next action is always, how do we hurt the backline of the opponent? How do we progress from this phase of play to the next phase of play? That is Eze and that is Martin Zubimendi. Now, it means that Odegaard and Rice can keep on, being what they are, just taking care of the ball and making sure that, you have these, very, very tidy, patterns of play. And then in terms of taking risks, that is where Eze comes in and where Martin Zubimendi comes in. And I am not surprised that in the same summer, the Arsenal signing, Zubimendi, we are signing a number 9 who is great at running off the shoulder of defenders. Because that is the kind of pass Zubimendi has in his store. A lot of it. Like, a lot of it. He's got the ability to just find the runs of players. Now, imagine Arsenal have Eze, he can do that. Arsenal have Odegaard, he can do that. And then you have Zubimendi. And then you have Victor Gyokerez, who is literally a beast, a monster at running in behind. Our game is changing. Like, literally, our game is changing with a couple of few signings. Now, in terms of the deal, Eberechi Eze has already said yes to Arsenal. He doesn't have a problem with signing for us. And he wants to sign for Arsenal only, right? This was a player 2 weeks ago who was going to Tottenham. He was going to Tottenham and then Arsenal called. We are told that in that meeting, Mikel Arteta was there. And that's why I'm telling you that this deal is going to happen. Arteta called Gyokerez, it happened. Arteta called Madueke, it happened. Arteta called Eze, it's gonna happen. It will happen, right? He called Zubimendi as well, and it happened as well. Mikel Arteta doesn't call to talk to you if you're not among his priorities in the summer. He doesn't call to convince you if he doesn't really like you, right? The only reason as to why Mikel Arteta called Eze was to tell him, give me some time. We are working on a couple of things. We're working on a couple of departures, but we are going to come for you. We are going to do the deal. And Eze wants Arsenal only. He either stays at Crystal Palace or he moves over to Arsenal. He wants Arsenal only. He's rejected Tottenham. He's told them, you can go to another player. And Tottenham have complied and they've signed Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, in terms of the transfer fee, I don't think we shall have a problem here, like people are saying. I know that, Arsenal don't want to pay the whole amount, but that is not a problem. If you look at this summer, where have Arsenal really overpaid or paid the whole amount a team always wanted? Let's start with Gyokerez. They wanted 80 million euros. We said 73. Let's talk about Martin Zubimendi. Okay, with Martin Zubimendi, Arsenal didn't pay the release clause of the player, but paid more. And the reason as to why we paid more, it benefited us over Sociedad. Because Sociedad could have said, pay the release clause in one installment and you get the player. That would have benefited them because they would have 60 million right there without any other installments. They wouldn't have to wait. They would get 60 million in their bank account right there and then. So Arsenal said, we're going to pay more, but we're going to get a much better deal by structuring the payments of the player. So when you think about what is going on, it looks like Arsenal are strategically trying to show Crystal Palace, we are not trying to overpay for deals. We are not going to overpay for deals. We want to do this deal at the right conditions, at the right price, at the right, at the right time. So it will happen. I don't think the price is a problem. Yes, he has a release clause of 68 million, but it doesn't mean that anyone has to pay the release clause. And with Tottenham now out of the picture, Crystal Palace are looking at two things. He's got 2 years left on his contract, but in this final year, in this season, he enters his final year. And he's now 27. Are they going to sell him? I don't think they're desperate to sell him, but are they going to sell him at 28, 29 with 1 year left on his deal? How much money are they going to get next summer? Not a lot. So they would rather listen to Arsenal. And Arsenal's point of view and case is valid. He is 27. He's a good player and he's coming off the back of a very good campaign. We can give you 45 million guaranteed plus maybe 10 in add-ons or 15 in add-ons to take the deal to 60 million euros. Okay? But we are going to pay that in installments. We're going to pay that 60 million euros in 3 installments. That is a much better deal than Crystal Palace are ever going to get next summer. Because next summer, the player is running out of his contract. The player's contract is running down. There is no way anyone is giving you closer to 60 million. No way. For a 29-year-old midfielder, this is attacking midfielder, but no one's going to give you that money. So Arsenal have the keys to this deal. The player is on our side. He only wants to play for Arsenal. He's desperate to come back to Arsenal, right? And we are offering some good money. This is not a deal that Arsenal are trying to sabotage. We're not trying to say he's worth 68 million to you and we're giving you 20 or we're giving you 30 or we're giving you 40. And in fact, Arsenal is saying we can give you 45 plus add-ons. That's a very, very, very good deal. Even if Crystal Palace just said, we shall get rid of the add-ons, the 8 million pounds in add-ons, just give us 60 million, just do a package that is 60 million for Gyokerez, it would still be a very, very good deal. Now, the question is, can Arsenal really afford the 60 million? Because I don't want to lie to you. I think we have exhausted our pre-sale budget, right? The money that we had to spend on players before selling is over. Let's do the maths. Zubimendi at 66, Kepa at 5, and Christian Nogard at 15. Madueke at 50, 55 for Gyokerez, and 20, or 18 actually, for Christian Musquera. That is about 200 million euros plus. In fact, that is approaching 300 million euros, right? Arsenal are about to spend 300 million euros without selling a single player. And yes, we can do that because last summer, Arsenal didn't spend any money. In fact, we sold Nketiah, Ramsdale, and Emile Smith-Rowe. 3 of those players brought in a whopping, I think they brought in a whopping 100 million. So 100 million, did really Arsenal spend 100 million last summer? Well, I mean, technically and realistically, Raya signed last summer for about 27 million. And then we also brought in Mika Marino for about 37 million. And then we brought in Ricardo Calafiori for about 40-something million, okay? So maybe Arsenal spent closer to 100 million. But that was not money that was from the club's pockets. That was money from sales. That was money from Nketiah was pure profit. Emile Smith-Rowe was pure profit. And Ramsdale, yes, wasn't pure profit. But, it's okay. So Arsenal can afford this summer, right? Arsenal can afford to spend 300 million this summer because literally in January and last summer we were like, we are not doing anything. We are not doing anything. We're just waiting for next summer for us to spend the real amount of money, the sufficient amount of money to go and take the squad to the next level. And that's where you can afford it. But even when you can afford it, we have used our pre-sale money. Arsenal will need to sell in order to buy Eberechi Eze. And guess what? I don't have a problem with that. I really don't have a problem with that. Because Eze, although Eze is a good signing, actually great signing, I don't think Arsenal are there panicking. They're like, if you don't get Eze early enough, we don't beat Manchester United, we don't beat Man City. No. Now, it could be a let's say a Newcastle game. Actually, it's going to be a big difference maker in games against Newcastle, Aston Villa, Fulham, Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, and those kind of clubs that give Arsenal a little hard time, especially by setting up mid-blocks, right? It's going to be a big game changer. But our lives doesn't depend on it. Our season doesn't depend on it. Our campaign doesn't depend on it. It doesn't. That's why I'm saying Eze can arrive in August and Arsenal will still win the league. Eze can arrive next summer and Arsenal will still win the league. Eze can arrive now and Arsenal will still win the league. Because it's a signing that complements the squad rather than adds to the foundation of the team. Eze is like an icing on the cake. Eze is like the roofing. Roofing is very important on a structure. I was about to, commit a blunder. But he's like those nice curtains that you put in your building. You can sleep in your house without curtains, honestly, right? Now, they're very important, and Eze is important as a signing, but you could do without curtains. I have slept in a house without curtains, and I was okay. Like, I was absolutely very, very fine. That's a long story. So I think Eze will be one that signs after Arsenal do some sales, right? Let's say Vieira leaves, and that creates clarity on whether Arsenal need a number 10 or not. If Vieira leaves, that means we need a number 10. That means we need an attacking midfielder. Then Eze comes in. Brilliant stuff. As well, the other thing that I think should happen, I think Arsenal need to clear out some of the players that, because now the squad is having many players. How many incomings have we done so far? 6. Mosquera, Gyokerez, and Madueke 3. And then the 3 initial ones, Inoga, Zubimendi, and Kepa. We have done 6 incomings. You've got to lighten the squad. You've got to get rid of some players. Now, Pata is gone. Jorginho is gone. Tomiyasu is gone as well. But I think more departures are needed. Zinchenko has to go. Vieira has to go. I don't think Kivio has really has to go. I don't think Kivio has to go. But Trossard and Martinelli, one of them might need to go. So I think Arsenal will first focus on departures. We're going to focus on departures. We're going to focus on players that can bring in some money. And after that, we shall revive our interest in these attacking players. Now, if I am realistic with you, this is an August deal, right? This is an August deal. And in the next 2 weeks, because today is 15th, that means that we have spent about 2 weeks on incomings. I think the next 2 weeks are going to be about outgoings. Arsenal will spend a lot of time doing outgoings in the next 2 weeks. And after that, we shall wrap up the window by looking at any market opportunities. Rodrigo, Eze, those are real market opportunities. We shall either get both of them or just one of them. But for me, Eze is a signing that will happen. And it's a signing that takes this window to an 8 out of 10, if not a 9 out of 10.